Guys, what's going on? Welcome to Serial at Midnight. My name is Heath, and this is the latest installment of the Thrift Store series. I have here a stack of movies, music in all forms, books. We'll get to this in just a moment. Guys, in our last Thrift Store video, we were talking about how a new year had rolled around, which meant fresh donations to the thrift stores, because of course if you get that donation in by 11/59/59 on New Year's Eve, you get that tax write-off. And so I was predicting, I said at my thrift store, my favorite thrift store that I go to, where I find so much of this good stuff, the line for donations was like out of the parking lot. So it was like, oh man, when this stuff hits the store, it's gonna be high living. It's taken weeks. If you know the distance between that last video and this video, it took a while for a lot of that stuff to show up. And even then, it's still kind of sparse, but I got some really good stuff here. So I was able to film inside one of these stores. From time to time, I can film inside of a store. I kind of given up on it because you're trying to film a DVD and then someone just walks into your shot and they just sit there and ruin it. And you can't be like, excuse me, I'm filming for YouTube. Thank you very much. They don't care. And most people don't want their butts on YouTube. I don't make the rules. I just reporting on it. So Heath of Earth 2 is going to show you. I got about 3.5 minutes of footage from the thrift store shelves themselves. So let's cut to Heath of Earth 2 to guide us through what we're actually seeing. Take it away, Heath of Earth 2. Thanks, Heath Prime. You're looking smashing in that Hawaiian shirt, by the way. Check out these 2 random seasons of Roseanne. They're not even consecutive seasons, and there were no other seasons, so it kind of boggles the mind. In my country, DVDs sign you. Someone they got the Yakov Smirnoff DVD at the show that they went to. They had him autograph it, and then they donated it to a thrift store. Of course, something else could have happened. They may have passed. We have 2 random seasons of, it's 2 of the first season of Bones, and then season 2. And then there's a couple of Blu-rays here. Normally there are more Blu-rays at this location. I think that Skyfall is a great find for those that don't have it. Probably my favorite of the Daniel Craig Bond movies. And I was kind of blown away by this. This Hulk Hogan set, it's a good set. It's a really solid Hogan set. I have this set, but it's still boxed. It's still sealed up. They didn't even open it. It's got the I believe that's the FYE tag still on it. Cheap Detective just got a Blu-ray release, if I remember correctly. And then here's 3 Eddie Izzard DVDs right next to each other. Maybe the person that donated these Eddie Izzard DVDs is the same person that saw Yakov Smirnoff in Branson, Missouri. But that doesn't, I don't know if those 2 markets if they align with each other. Some classic movies here. If you're in the market for some classics, this would have been a good day at the thrift store for you, because listen, as the mainstream appeal of these things continue to go down, it's a great time for us to grab these things, because that's some good movie history in this thrift store video. 2 copies of The Matrix. I thought that was really weird. The Matrix 4 movie collections, 2 of them right next to each other. Boston Legal. I have this set. I was a big fan of Boston Legal with James Spader. Hello, my name is James Spader. What else do we have here? Oh my goodness, The Pacific. Now this is the DVD version. I have the Blu-ray version. The DVD version of the complete the epic event, The Pacific. I did not open it up to make sure that everything was there, because I don't need it. But for those that are looking for it, man, I just couldn't believe some of the stuff that was showing up. And I almost bought this, Star Trek The Motion Picture, the director's cut. This is the Robert Wise's version of this movie, and I did not buy it ultimately. It's never been released on Blu-ray, but there's talk of a 4K release, so I just held off. I got a kick out of this. Leadbelly, the blues singer, sings for children, because why not? Hey, Leadbelly, you want to sing for the children? I know you do. There's some really weird things in here. And then I saw the Medicine Man. You guys remember this movie? Until I saw this soundtrack CD, I had completely forgotten that this movie existed. I was in a movie called Medicine Man, and I used to be James Bond. This was kind of exciting. I was going to buy it, and then, nope, someone beat me to it. Or maybe it was never in there in the first place. You can't count on these people that work in the stores to check everything before they go out. Cool Borders? Yeah? PlayStation 1 love? Anybody got any love for Cool Borders? This is the disappointment of the entire video. The Rocky 3 soundtrack, I was so excited about it. Aaron Carter. Wank, wank. Heath of Earth 2, thank you so much. That coverage was, as always, Emmy deserving, award worthy. One of these days, Heath of Earth 2, you're going to get your due. You are. Claps for Heath of Earth 2. We could not do what we do without all the Heaths of all the different multiple Earths. So with that out of the way, let's get into what we actually picked up at the thrift store. I should also say this comes from multiple different thrift stores. This is not all just from the store you saw in that video. There's at least 4 thrift stores in here from a 40 to 50 mile circle area, whatever, territory. Getting into wrestling now. Let's work in the territories, the thrift store territory. Anyway, first up is The Producers. This is the DVD version of the Mel Brooks classic, The Producers, and this is a classic. Now, I wasn't sure if I needed this or not because I have a Mel Brooks Blu-ray box set. I think it's the Mel Brooks collection or some such. But here's the thing. I've watched just about everything from that collection, and I don't remember seeing The Producers in there, because I haven't revisited this movie in a long time. So I whip out my app. I have an app on my phone. It's MyCLZ from a company called Collectors with a Z. I believe they're out of Europe. Sometimes you guys ask, what do you use to catalog your stuff? Both my comics and my movies are done through MyCLZ on my phone. So I whip it out. I'm looking at the Blu-ray, that box set I'm talking about. This isn't in there. So I'm like, okay, great. So I knew that I needed this. I was able to pick this up. I left the price tags on most of these where they had them. I don't know if that's showing up for you guys, but it was $1.99 and it was yellow. The yellow tag sale was 50% off. So it was $1. So I got The Producers for $1. And it doesn't look like it's ever been even handled. It's in really good shape. Next, I grabbed MI5 Volume 1. This is the first season, the first series. This is a UK-based show. I believe in the UK it's called Spooks, right? And I think it came on BBC America in the United States. I could be wrong. It came on some channel in the United States. I actually checked this volume out from the library at least 10 years ago. I want to say it was around 2005. Does this have a date on it? 2003 and 2002 and 2003. So I'm guessing the show, yeah, whatever. We're looking at, wow, holy cow, that was like 17 years ago. Jeez. So I haven't seen it since then. But I did watch this first series way back in the day, and I was very impressed. At the time, people were comparing it. They're like, it's like a British 24. Whereas, of course, I think this probably was not standing on the shoulders of 24. I think this was doing its own thing. But nevertheless, it was a really cool show. It had Jenny Agutter, I believe is how you say her name. Agutter, some of us say, or Agutter. Anyway, Logan's Run, Jenny, an American Werewolf in London. Anyway, this was $1.50. Holy cow, you guys, $1.50. So that's a really great price. This is a slipcase. And so in America, this was marketed as MI5. There are multiple seasons, but $1.50 for that season, I could not pass that up. Another TV series, and I've got to tell you guys, I've never seen this show. Not avoiding it. It's just one of those. Well, we live in a world where you have to really pick and choose your content, right? And I'm focused on retro stuff. So when American Horror Story is coming out, I'm watching things like Mannix and Have Gun Will Travel and things like that. But this now affords me the opportunity to catch up on the first season of American Horror Story. And this was, pardon me, this was $1.99. I don't have my glasses on, so I want to make sure I got that right. $1.99. So $2 for, how many discs is this? 1, 2, 3 discs. It's no, 4. Sorry, 4 discs. It's a 12-episode season. I think all of these are on Blu-ray, but for $2 to see the whole first season whenever I want to, I couldn't pass that up. Now the next stuff, you guys, we're getting into the really eccentric, eclectic, the out there farther reaches. I think most of what we're going to see from here on out is not going to be mainstream stuff. It's going to be weird, wonderful obscurities. And sometimes people ask me in the comments of these videos, they had Karate Kid at that thrift store for $2. Why didn't you buy it? If I'm passing up stuff and you don't see it in the haul, I either already have it. Here's the thing. I've been collecting for decades now. I've been a movie fan and a movie collector for 25 years, I guess. And so going back to the VHS days, so chances are if I wanted an A-list title, I bought it a long time ago. So that's why I pass up some of this stuff. At this point in my collecting, I'm really looking for the obscurities, the deep cuts, the gems, stuff like that. So let's just launch right into it. Sinatra, the classic duets. Now this is, it's a DVD from Sinatra Enterprises. And it is what it says. It's a compilation of Sinatra's duets. Now it doesn't say what the source for these are. I know he had like multiple variety shows, or like, you know, it's the Frank Sinatra show. I'm actually reading a book about the Rat Pack right now, and you're gonna see a lot of Rat Pack themed stuff that I've been able to grab from a thrift store. It's in service of something. We're going somewhere with this, but just bear with us. This is, it's got, let's see, I'll just name a few of them. Ella Fitzgerald, Louis Armstrong, whole bunch of kids. That's what it says. Frank Sinatra sings with whole bunch of kids. I guess that was a group. Bing Crosby and Dean Martin, Louis Prima. Oh, you guys, Louis Prima, the voice of King Louis from The Jungle Book, the original, not Christopher Walken. I'm talking about the original. Anyway, this was very cool, and I had to grab that because this is the kind of stuff, you guys. This is where Serial at Midnight's at right now. The Frank Sinatra Show. This is you're invited to spend the afternoon at the Frank Sinatra Show, and this is I don't even think this is a compilation. I think this is just one show. In 1957, Timex sponsored a series of TV variety show specials starring Frank Sinatra, broadcast on the ABC television network. This show was taped on December 10th, 1959. A rare rainy day in Palm Springs, California. Blah, blah, blah. It's Frank Sinatra with Ella Fitzgerald and a host of Sinatra's inner circle. So we've got Peter Lawford of the Rat Pack, Juliet Prowse, who was a very popular, she was an actress, Broadway performer at the time. I'm seeing if Dean Martin's in any of these. Anyway, the point is, this is an entire presentation. It's an 85-minute DVD. This comes from MVD. MVD, Music Video Distributors, is what MVD stands for. But this looks like an older release. There's no date on here, so I don't know where this when this was released, but this is the kind of thing, again, I'm telling you, I'm looking for these rarities, these obscurities. These are the kinds of things that when they go out of print, they don't come back around. They just go up in smoke. It's like, well, we put them out, we licensed it, we put it out, it's gone. What's the demand for something like this, right? That's how you have to look at it. So what's the demand for this? If they put this back in print, how many people are going to buy this? What's the profit margins on something like this? Moving into something else very cool, the Miles Davis story. This is a documentary about the great jazz musician Miles Davis. And I didn't even know this existed. This is program copyright 2001, Channel 4 television. So this comes from the UK. And it was released on DVD in 2002 by Sony Music. So very, very cool. And even the whole dress, in America we have this a series of CDs called the Essential blah, blah, blah. And this is even done in the same font and style as the Essential. So this is going to be like a video version, companion, I guess, to the Essential Miles Davis. Anyway, it's very cool. Is there a running time on here? 125 minutes. So that's a meaty documentary. They're going to really get into it. The Monterey Jazz Festival, you guys. I believe this is a documentary, not a concert film. Copyright 1998, program copyright 1998, and this DVD comes from 1999. You guys, it's the old Warner Brothers Snapcase. I miss these. We've talked about these before. I used to hate these because they're paper, right? We're coming out of the VHS days, going into DVD. Some companies had these nice plastic, these were like bulletproof. You could put them in your clothes and like walk into oncoming fire and you would you'd be all right because sturdy stuff. But then these paper cases were always such a disappointment. Now, 2 decades later, I kind of have nostalgia for these. Anyway, it is a jazz, it's a documentary about the Monterey Jazz Fest. And does it have, let's see, featuring Ella, Louie, Dizzy, Sarah, Dave, Monk, Clark Terry, and even Lady Day. Hosted by Joshua Redman and featuring interviews with jazz buff Clint Eastwood. So, I like jazz quite a bit. This is 99, so he's like, at one point, I want to direct a movie about a grumpy old man and his car. and I want to sing a song at the end. Yeah. And scene. All right. This is I think I chose this for the thumbnail, you guys. This is it's a Tae Bo compilation. It's the first at the time of this release, 1998, I think it is. Yeah, copyright 1998. This was all 4 of the Tae Bo workout videos. Now, am I going to watch this? Probably not. I do think it's kind of cool from a historian's perspective because Billy Blanks, like, this thing sold millions and millions. Is there a statistic anywhere on here? I mean, I think it's crazy numbers, like 50 million or something like that. Don't quote me on that. I'm just pulling stuff off the top of my head, but I know it sold millions and millions of copies. Here's the thing. This is why I don't normally collect for value. I collect for pleasure. I do like Billy Blanks. We've talked about him here kind of recently a lot because he's in the MVD Rewind collection version of the movie Showdown, which is like a 90s version of the Karate Kid. And it's a callback to Karate Kid from just a little while ago. I don't often collect for value, but this is out of print and this is kind of obscure. I just did a quick search to see like what was on eBay, what was out on the secondhand market. Copies of this are going for a little bit of change. That does not mean that I'm going to sell this. It takes a very little real estate on my shelf, so I'm not super worried about that. But it seemed like something that would be a good idea just to grab and hold on to and see what happens with it. Because I know Billy Blanks has a ton of DVDs. I think he's even got Blu-rays out. But the idea of this, the initial first pressing DVD version of all of these 90s Tae Bo shows, I just felt like it'd be kind of cool to pick up, and I think it was $2, and so not nothing, but worth for me. It was, if it's an investment, cool. If it's not, I'm out $2, and maybe I'll watch it, just for old time's sake. Told you guys before, I think in the Showdown review that we did, that my mom used to do Tae Bo in the living room, so there's maybe a little bit of nostalgia for that as well. Anyway, this is the last DVD, but this is cool. I saved this DVD for the end because I thought it was special. Talking about the eccentric stuff that we're looking for at this point. TV commercials, the ultimate collection. Can you guys see that? I know it's white and we're in a well-lit room, so that might get a little blown out, but Unforgettable Classics. This is 6 DVDs of commercials ranging from, it had a year on here, 1950 to 1980. So all 6 of these DVDs present commercials from 1950 to 1980, and they're themed. Each disc is themed. So disc 1 is classic car commercials of the 50s and 60s. Chevy, Chrysler, Plymouth, Ford, Lincoln, Mercury. Amazing, right? This is the kind of stuff that can, again, it just gets lost. When it's gone, it's just gone. Some of these will be on YouTube, no doubt, but to have such a quick 613 commercials on DVD, just to have a reference of these all in one place, I just thought it was really cool. Volume 2 is classic food and beverage commercials, featuring the best of beer, coffee, soft drinks, cereal, snacks, and more. Volume 3 is classic cigarette commercials. You guys, there's an entire disc of cigarette commercials. Does it say how? It's an hour and a half of cigarette commercials. Volume 4 is classic toy commercials, featuring Ideal, Marks, Mattel, Mego, Remco, and others, featuring Star Trek, Barbie, King Kong, Silly Putty, and much more. Volume 5 is the classic celebrity commercials featuring the Marx Brothers, Frank Sinatra, John Wayne, Lucille Ball, James Cagney, Ozzie and Harriet, and others. That was amazing. An hour and 24 minutes of celebrity commercials. And the volume 6, it just says Unforgettable TV Commercials, a fun collection of TV commercials that left a lasting impression and includes all your favorites from the weird to the wacky to the downright bizarre. And then down here, if you guys can see this is just kind of an example of the kind of stuff that we're talking about here. And, for what we do, pop culture and analog, this is pop culture that quickly just disappears. And so had to have it. This was $4. I paid $4 for this. So 6 DVDs. I don't know what this is going for on the internet or, value or anything like that. But for me, I wanted to have it. So let's move into, I got a couple of books. I got a hard case crime novel. This is Killing Castro by Lawrence Block, and it has a $1.25 sticker on it. I think this showed up at a Dollar General. This appears to be a Dollar General price tag. I paid $1 for it. And you guys know we love hard case crime. We have several hard case crime themed videos. hard case crime collections and pickups and stuff like that. So if I can remember, I'm going to link to that hard case crime, one of our hard case crime videos right here, but that joins the collection. And then I grabbed a copy of Matt Helm, The Ambushers. We have a Matt Helm video as well, if I can remember. Heath put a link to our Matt Helm videos right here. These are, of course, 50s and 60s. Actually, I think these they're late 50s, early 60s. He's like they're gritty spy sort of novels. And of course, notoriously, these were adapted into a series starring Dean Martin, who Rat Pack Connection, baby. And then, of course, those have now been homaged in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But the people, they're very different. The movie versions are campy and silly, and Dean Martin does the whole thing with a wink, as he did his entire career. His entire career is a wink. But the books are very straightforward and gritty, and like they're very violent. They're not like the movies, but here's the thing. Every time I see a Matt Helm novel, I buy it. So I have 3 copies of this. What am I going to do with them? I'm not sure, but I'll find something to do with them. Okay, let's move into music, and then we can close this out. We'll start off with some cassettes. We continue, every time we get cassettes, we get comments that are like, I can't believe you're covering cassettes. But we also get a lot of views off of them and a lot of enthusiasm. People still love cassettes. There is a cassette market. So we continue to talk about them because they're fun, right? Cassettes are just fun. I grabbed the Traveling Wilburys volume. This is volume 1. I believe we picked up volume 2 on a CD in a past thrift store video. This is volume 1 on cassette. Traveling Wilburys, of course, was the supergroup with Bob Dylan, Tom Petty, Roy Orbison, Jeff Lynne. Am I forgetting anybody? George Harrison. Did I say George Harrison? And Handle Me With Care is the big breakout hit by the Traveling Wilburys, and that is song number 1 on this CD. No, it's not a CD. It's a cassette on this album. I grabbed the Brian Setzer Orchestra Dirty Boogie cassette. I've had this on CD for years and years, going back to the 90s. I love this record. I love, again, going back to our retro theme here, what we kind of do, classic Americana pop culture, that sort of thing. Brian Setzer Orchestra really celebrates that. I got to see Brian Setzer Orchestra supporting this album, opening up for Bob Dylan around 1998, I think it was. Hey, Bob Dylan, just talked about him right here. Isn't that a weird double bill that Dylan would choose Brian Setzer to open his show? So, I mean, Brian Setzer was huge at the time. I think this is as big as they ever got. I think they crested. They peaked, and then they came back down. This was the album that they kind of just achieved superstardom, and then it was kind of back into more, obscure. He still makes records. I still buy his records. He's still fantastic. He did a double album of, there's a Sun Records collections of Sun covers, and then he's got a rockabilly. He's always putting out stuff. That's my point. I really like him. He's kind of on a Christmas thing now. He seems to be making most of his money from Christmas tours and shows, but okay, I digress. This is the album that gave us the Dirty Boogie. It gave us Jump Drive and Wail, for a brief period of time in the 90s. That was like everywhere. But my favorite song on here, in case you're wondering, is Hollywood Nocturne. It's the second to last song, and it is very much like a film noir inspired. It feels like the closing of an episode of Dragnet or something like that. I love it. It's very dark. It's very twangy guitar. It's really cool. Hollywood Nocturne. Check it out on YouTube. Okay, got some CDs. I grabbed the Star Trek 6 soundtrack. Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country soundtrack. And this thing looks great. A lot of Star Trek love. Love for Star Trek, you guys. I do love Star Trek. We don't talk about it super often, but anytime we get a chance, we do. I'm a big Star Trek fan, especially the original trilogy. Not the original trilogy, that's Star Wars. The original crew. Kirk, Spock, McCoy, Scotty, Bones. Bones and McCoy are the same guy. You understand what I'm saying? The original trilogy. The original series crew. The 60s. My heart is in the 60s show. That's my favorite. Everything else is a pale comparison to the 60s show for me. But that's the crew we're talking about. It's Kirk and Spock, and love those guys. Hank Williams Greatest Hits. 20 of Hank Williams Greatest Hits. We have some Hank Williams themed content coming up for you guys. We've been planning it for a long time. Hopefully we can get it done. Some of this stuff has been in motion behind the scenes for months and months. It's just a matter of pulling the trigger on certain things. But stay tuned. Watch this space for Hank Williams Sr. Content. You know, if you guys saw the Ken Burns documentary about the history of country music, Hank Williams plays a prominent role in that, and it's good stuff. Also in the Serial at Midnight plans, Stax. Stax was the Southern Motown. This was the Memphis Motown, and you can still go to Memphis and see the Stax Museum. This is where you guys, Isaac Hayes. Okay, so this is the Stax number ones. It's just called Stax number ones. Booker T and the MGs, Green Onions. You guys, if you don't know the name of that song, you know the song. It's in a ton of movies. Sam and Dave, Otis Redding, Isaac Hayes, the theme from Shaft. Yeah, yes. I think I've told you guys before, we had a radio station. Sometimes it was an independent radio station. It was not owned by one of the major corporations. And sometimes I'd be taking my daughter to school and the theme from Shaft would come on. Nothing makes your day like the theme from Shaft. You can conquer anything after that. It builds you up and you can do anything. So anyway, this is exciting. Again, we have plans related to Stax, so stay tuned. Dizzy Gillespie, you guys. I found, the jazz horn player Dizzy Gillespie. I don't know, who is this? Kim Enterprises, K-E-M. I don't know that label. I don't know if this is, you get into these jazz albums and these labels start to become it's not like Columbia or Sony. It becomes very micro labels and stuff. Anyway, so this is Dizzy Gillespie, Lady Be Good. This is one of his albums. So it's really cool to see that out in the wild. All right, hold on. We're about to disappear down a rat pack hole. All right, I don't know. Frank Sinatra's Greatest Hits. This is Reprise. Who owns Reprise? Is it Sony? I can't. Warner Brothers owns Reprise. So this is 12 Greatest Hits from Frankie. Guess what else? Sinatra Reprise, The Very Good Years. So this is a different compilation. We have two different, I don't think there's any overlap here. This has 20 songs. So these are going to be older songs. These are, I don't know what the difference, that's the word I was looking for. I'm not sure what the difference is between these. I'm gathering, I haven't had a chance to listen to any of these yet. I've only had these as I'm recording this video for 2 days. And I know you're like, well, you had 2 days, pal. I've been making videos for you guys. So this is two different Frank Sinatra collections, but guys, okay? I was browsing these CDs, and I see this. I was like, what is this? Can you see that? It is Frank Sinatra Live at the Sands, November 1961. And if you see on the spine here, disc 1. I was like, disc 1? That implies a box set. First of all, Frank Sinatra in Vegas is a big deal. Frank Sinatra at the Sands, that's a big deal too, because the Sands kind of became Rat Pack Central. And without going too far into it, I'm telling you guys, stay tuned. There's something coming. What are we doing? What are we researching? I can tell you that the Sands at the time was a very big Las Vegas venue for the Rat Pack. And so to have a recording of this was very interesting to me. It's 21 tracks from the show, and then an interview. Sinatra speaks on segregation in Nevada. This is 1961, so that's very, the civil rights movement. Frank Sinatra talking about civil rights in 1961 in Las Vegas. Interesting. I was like, that's disc 1. Do they have the rest? So I start combing through. I was like, surely, maybe they'll have the rest. How many are there? There were 5. It's a 5-disc box set. They had them all, $1 per disc. Disc 2, Live at the Sands, 1966. Disc 3, Caesar's Palace, 1982. By the way, the box set is Frank Sinatra Vegas. If I didn't, it says it on the spine, but it's so small. I don't know if you guys can see. Frank Sinatra Vegas. It's a box set dedicated to Frank Sinatra's Vegas work. Disc 4, Live at the Golden Nugget, April 1987. And then disc 5. I was like, what? Disc 5, Live at Caesar's Palace, May 1978, DVD. This is a DVD performance, a complete entire performance of Sinatra in Vegas, 1978. I could not believe it. I'm on my phone. I go over to the furniture section. I'm just sitting there. I'm like doing as much research as I can on the fly. And I just learned that this was part of, it was a 5-disc box set. There seemed to be a couple of different versions. The original version had a longer package. It had a 64-page booklet, which obviously I don't have. Would have been really nice to have that booklet. If you guys have any inside scoop on an empty box and the booklet, I would love to be able to complete this, but I've got $5 invested in this, and I have every bit of music that's in that box set, and I'm very happy. But that's the DVD they charged me $1 for. So, I was excited. I was really excited about that, and I'm still very excited about that because this is what I saw. Used copies of this box set were going for like $35, $40, just depending on condition and things like that. These discs look immaculate. They look like they've never been touched before. So I was super excited. Okay, let's wrap it up with, I'm going to save the weirdest for last. I got some records here. One of these thrift stores had some records that had a big box of records that had water damage. And you know, water damage is no bueno for record collectors, but some of them were barely, they looked like they'd maybe gotten wet and then no big deal, no warping or anything like that. So from that comes the Best of Uriah Heep, which has, you know, if you're really looking, it's got some light water spots in a couple of different places, but by and large there's no issues. I checked the records. You know, the records are, some of them have a little bit of dirt on them, but they're not warped. There's nothing particularly wrong with them. They're just a little dirty, so I'm gonna have to clean these up. Now this comes with an explanation. The Culture Club, Bree, you know who loves, I've already said, Bree and Minnie Midnight adore Culture Club. I like the Culture Club too. I think, you know, you can't, The Wedding Singer, right? Where George is on the, isn't his name George? He's on the keyboard. He keeps playing the "Give Me." I can't sing it because I don't want anybody to. I don't want Culture Club coming after the YouTube channel. But Culture Club, an integral part of the '80s. We saw Culture Club in Atlanta 4 years ago, maybe. And I gotta tell you guys, one of the best concerts I've ever been to. They played those songs so well. It was a really good show. But I grabbed this for my ladies, because they're just, I'm telling you guys, they have Culture Club t-shirts. I mean, they're super into the whole 80s thing. So that was cool. You know, as a sidebar, I know this video is running long, but sidebar, when you walk in on like your daughter listening to music that is not in the popular culture, instead of listening to like Lizzo and she's listening to the Beach Boys or Culture Club or something like that, it's just a swell of pride that you feel like, good for you for doing your own thing. Because they just picked it up, you know, it's not something that's been taught. It's like, now you will listen to the Beach Boys. You will listen to Frank Sinatra. It's nothing like that. You just walk in and there's something from the 80s is going. You're like, nice. It makes you feel good. I grabbed Billy Joel, 52nd Street. This is still on the shrink wrap. But if we're really paying attention, water got under here, so I'm probably going to have to free it just because, I mean, it's dry. It's just got, it's got some water spots on it. So look at the price here, you guys. It was $8.98. So this is 70s, right? Late 70s, I want to say. 78. So $8.98 retail price, but your price at Oz Records and Tapes is $6.97. But the Wizard Special is $5.97. So it's interesting, you know, you translate $6 from 1978 to now money. It's got to be at least $12 or $13, right? So things have always kind of cost what they cost. We kind of think about, now things got a little out of hand there in the 90s and the early 2000s with retail prices of like $18.98 for a new CD. Got a little crazy, but it's coming back down now, and now it's the records that cost so much. The best of Dizzy Gillespie, which is really cool because of course we got that Dizzy Gillespie CD, and this is a vinyl Best of Dizzy Gillespie from Pablo Records. I don't know Pablo Records, but this came out in 1980, and this is in really good shape. This does not look like it's been touched. There's no water damage whatsoever. Finally, the last item of the entire haul. You're gonna be like, what? Bear with me. You guys know how I do. You know how I got, it's not news to you that I'm eccentric. Hawaii. What is this called? From a Hawaiian Paradise. Aloha. It's probably Aloha from a Hawaiian Paradise. I took a blind buy gamble on this because as you know from past thrift store videos, Polynesian culture, the captain goes with me to all. Captain Tiki goes with me for all these thrift store hauls. I'm representing the captain and my Hawaiian passion. Super into Tiki culture, Polynesia, the idea, that mid-century 50s, 60s beach culture, Hawaiian culture, exotica music. I'm really into that stuff. And whenever I see an album like this, I grab it. I take a chance. Now, I'm not going to pay $10 for something like this, but if it's $1, and this was $1, I'm going to take a chance on it. And I got to tell you guys, this is one of the best Polynesian albums I've ever heard. What makes a good Polynesian album? A lot of times it'll just be like actual versions of Hawaiian songs, like the Hawaiian wedding song, or like the Hawaiian war song or something like that. But sometimes you get something like this, and it's channeling those Hawaiian themes through an exotica vibe. And what is exotica? It's that mid-century 50s into the 60s, just like weird lounge music with like organs, and like it's not Polynesian. Like Hawaiians would be like, what is that? What have you done to our music? But it's so weird. The best way I can describe it. Okay, first of all, for the younger viewers, SpongeBob music. The kind of music that they play on SpongeBob. It's like like that sort of stuff. SpongeBob music. That's a good way to describe it. But also, for those of you who are my age, maybe a little bit older, we're talking about 30s, 40s, 50s, the kind of music that Paul Reubens would promote on Pee-wee's Playhouse. Not necessarily Pee-wee's Big Adventure, but if you grew up with Pee-wee's Playhouse, always exotica music. The theme of Pee-wee's Playhouse was a riff on a Les Baxter song. The Ritual of the Savage, I believe is what it was called. I could be wrong, don't quote me. But it was an exotica song that he had kind of had a cover version of done. And he was always playing mid-century. Like me and Paul Reubens' kitschy tastes, huge overlap. Like that whole idea of the just like tacky Polynesian lounge music. That's the closest thing I can compare it to. But I love this. This relaxes me. I put this on and it is just the best. It's so weird. It's so unique, and it just calms you down, man. If you're stressed out or whatever you're trying to do, it really sets an atmosphere. Enjoy it with a cocktail, an adult beverage, whatever your personal choice is, some ginger ale, whatever. All right, guys, that's going to do it. That's this thrift store haul. This is a long video. We got a lot of mileage out of this one particular thrift store haul. Well, this haul comes from multiple stores, but still, things are looking up. It's looking good. So what's happening in your area with the thrift store goods? What's the charity shop? What's the word on the charity shop scene? You getting some good stuff out there? Has it kind of started to bounce back? Because I know a lot of us worldwide, we get feedback from Europe and from, South America and from Canada, lots of places invested in these thrift store deals. And it really seems like it had dried up for the better part of the entire last year. So I'm seeing things bouncing back here. What are you seeing in your area? Let us know. We will continue the conversation in the comments below. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out. If you made it all the way to the end, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. Take care. And until next time, I will catch you later.